Okay, welcome to A Spoonful of Shauna. We are making chocolate molten lava cakes today. So everyone get your oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't use convection for this recipe because it's more of a souffle where it puffs up. So I like to use my conventional oven. So everyone go get your oven preheated to 350. Once you do that, I just want to say a few housekeeping tips. So the first thing is, I would like you guys to, if you have a question that's a burning question, you can unmute yourself and ask. But we have right now 70 people, 72 people watching. So it's better to type it into the chat. And if I don't see it, I've got my computer in front of me. I've got some moderators here. My son and his girlfriend will be telling me if there is, Alicia, if there is a question, if there's a question that I didn't see. Okay, so any questions to start? We've already answered a lot of questions. I think we're all good. So some people are saying, can I add a little bourbon? Can I add a little Grand Marnier? Of course you can. It's the holiday time. I have a gas stove with a fan option. Do I not turn on fan? So with a gas stove, so no, if you have a convection gas stove, just do your regular 350. It should be fine. Okay, so what we're going to do, can you melt chocolate butter in the microwave? Yes, you can. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about. We're going to get our chocolate melted. So I typically melt my chocolate in the microwave, but when I melt it with butter, I just like to use it in a double boiler. If you're a pro at melting chocolate in the microwave, go ahead with the butter. My suggestion is to do it on 30-second intervals. So what we're going to do is either take a bowl, so it has to be a heat-proof bowl. If you're using it in the microwave, use a glass bowl. If you're using it on a double boiler, you can use a metal bowl or a glass bowl. I know this one's heat-proof. It says it on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our butter. So for this recipe, you want a stick and a half of butter. So that is 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter. When you're baking, you always want to start with unsalted butter so you can decide how much salt to put into the recipe. So here, what I want you guys to do if you've got the sticks of butter is to open the butter and save the wrapper, because we're actually going to use the wrapper to butter our ramekins or our muffin tin. So everyone open your butter. Get it opened here. I've got my butter here open. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a knife and we're just going to cut the butter into small cubes. And if it's room temperature or not room temperature, it's fine. But if you do put it in the microwave, you want to make sure that you actually cut it, because if you put a whole stick of butter in the microwave, it explodes. Yeah, I've done that. It explodes and it starts to mess everything up. So I'm just cutting up my butter into cubes. It doesn't matter what size your cubes are, because we're going to end up melting it. I haven't taught you how to put the water into the double boiler yet. I'm first showing you how to just cut the butter and put it into the bowl. Any questions? Yeah, so the microwave people can do the microwave. Okay, it's not on yet, and I do see my son's like, you see a little bit of, I'm like, why are you talking? Oh yeah, you're allowed if that happens. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're going to put the chocolate in, and then I'm gonna teach you how to do a double boiler. If you have a 300-gram container, how much butter should we put in? 3/4 of a cup, which is a stick and a half. So put in a stick and a half of butter chopped up into a bowl. Okay, everyone got that? All right, then with the chocolate, if you've got a 300-gram bar, this is the one I use. So this is the equivalent to like the President's Choice one. It's the Lindt one. So if you want to get really technical, you want to put 23 squares of this chocolate bar into the bowl, or 170 grams. So with the 170 grams, you can take a scale and you can measure it. Or if you have 300-gram bars, you just want to put in a bar, and I'm not sure how many, it depends on how many squares there are, but just figure out a bar and about 3/4 or so will make 170 grams. Okay, so any questions? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna take my 23 squares and I'm gonna put them in squares. I'm not even gonna cut them. I'm just gonna just break them into squares. If you've got the baker's chocolate, I think they're now making them in smaller squares. So you can probably just put a square, you don't have to cut it. If your chocolate's really big, you can cut it a little bit. But I find this literally takes a minute or two to melt. It's not bad. Okay, so here we go. I've got the squares in there. So the leftover chocolate is going to end up going into the ramekins or the muffin tin. So you actually only need one 300 square bar. And if you have the 300 square bar, you're gonna end up with one piece. What do you do with that? You shove it in your mouth or you throw it at your children, or you say, open your mouth and you throw. Whoops, he didn't get it. You guys can't see that. I tried to give my son the piece of chocolate. Okay, now, does everyone have, Calibo dark chips? So with Calibo dark chips, I don't know how big those are. If they're little chips, you're gonna have to use a scale. If Susan, if they're little chips, because with or you're gonna have to just figure, I'll show you at the end, probably about like 10 chips. You'll probably put 20 chips in. I'll figure it out for you if you'd like. Okay, any more questions before I move on to show you how to use a double boiler? No? Okay. So I hear one person, if you want to just make sure you're on mute if you're not talking, that would be fantastic. Okay, with a double boiler, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that your bowl is bigger than your pot. If your bowl is bigger than your pot, the water isn't going to steam through. The last thing you want to do with chocolate when you melt it is have water steam through, because it's going to make the chocolate seize up. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a small to medium sized pot. You're going to put about, let's say, 1/4 of the pot of water, which is about a cup of water or half a cup of water, not a lot of water. I'm going to show you there, just about 1/4 of the pot of water. You're going to put the water on the stove or on your element. Before turning it on, you're going to put your bowl back on. So see how the bowl is way bigger than the pot. And then I'm going to turn it on, because you don't want any of the steam hitting the chocolate. Okay, so I'm going to wait while everyone does that. So get your pot, fill it up about 2 inches, I would say, of water. Then you're going to put, after you do that, you're going to put it on the element without turning it on. You're going to take the bowl, put it on top, and turn it on. Any questions? What temperature should the stove be on? So you want the stove to be on about 6 or 7 to start, because you want to get it starting to boil. If you see that it's bubbling underneath, you want to turn it down to about 3 or 4. So you actually only want a simmer. You don't want to cook this, you don't want to make it really hot, you just want to melt it. So this is the first step. And what we're going to end up doing while we're doing everything else is we're going to end up letting this sit and cool down a little bit. So if we let it cool down a little bit, it's actually going to incorporate better into our egg mixture. So it's actually really important. This is a really important step, not to overheat it. Now, the other thing I was going to say is if you're going to do these in advance, it's good to do this step even an hour before, so it cools down completely. I find that if it's cooled down to room temperature, the lava cakes rise a little better. Okay, any more questions? Good questions. So I started this off on high just because I want to hear it boil. I'm not actually going, I can see it starting to bubble a little. I'm not taking it off to check, because as I said, I don't want any steam to hit the chocolate. Okay, how are we for questions? I'm looking. Oh, hi, Nathan. There's Nathan on his phone. Maybe he's texting Jordan. Is he texting you? One of my son's friends is there and I see him texting. They're like this. Okay, I see my son texting and I see Nathan texting. Okay, so what you want to do is I like to use a flat spatula for this, because if I start using a whisk, unfortunately it starts getting caught in the whisk. So I just use a spatula for this. And literally once it starts to melt, the chocolate starts to temper. And what that means is that the chocolate that gets hot will melt start melting the other chocolate. So please do tell us how much liqueur to use, 1 teaspoon, etc. You know, I've never tried it with liqueur, but I think for this recipe, I would put in about a tablespoon of like an orange liqueur. And the other thing you can do, Lynn, is if you have a chocolate that has candied ginger or sea salt, what you would do is use that chocolate and then not put the sea salt in at the into the mixture, because there's already salt in the chocolate, or candied orange peel, that kind of thing. My chocolate is all melted now. Do I remove? Oh, wow, Karen, you're quick. Or Lila, you're quick. So Lila, yes, if it's all melted, remove from the stove and take it off and put it on like a trivet or the counter and just let it sit and relax. It is New Year's Eve. Okay, so I see my steam coming up like crazy. So I'm going to lower it, and mine's starting to melt. Once you get it started melting, it literally should only take about 2 minutes. So my butter's melting, my chocolate's melting. If you're short on time, you can cut this really, really fine. But to be honest, take the lazy route out. Come on, guys, we've been cooking way too much in this pandemic, and just cut it pretty big like I did, just into the squares. And as you can see here, mine's actually really coming along well. Okay, so Lila, after yours is all melted, what you're going to do is you're going to take your pot of water, you're going to pour the water into the sink, and just put your pot back on the stove on a different element, because you don't want to put it on the same element. How's everyone coming along? You can put it in the chat. I think mine's at about 60% melted. And as I said, this is called tempering, which means the chocolate that's solid melts with the chocolate that's melted. So you're not scorching the chocolate. That's the worst thing you can do to chocolate, because then what happens is it will start separating and it will do something called blooming, which means that the white, you know, when you see the white on the chocolate, that's when the chocolate is near cold or hot or moisture. Okay, melted, woohoo, Lauren, good job. So what we're gonna do is just I'm gonna wait 1 more minute, but the other thing I was gonna say is once it's almost completely melted, I take it off and let it melt on its own, because as I said, the heat is gonna melt the chocolate that's not melted. Reusing liqueur, would you substitute it for the vanilla or add it to the butter chocolate? You know, I think that's a really good point. You could substitute it for the vanilla, because the vanilla actually has alcohol in it. So you don't want too much of that alcohol flavor. So the other thing you could do if you really want to get fancy is you can wash an orange and you can take orange zest and make chocolate orange cakes. I would really like that. Okay, so yeah, I would put it, would you substitute it for the vanilla? So what I would do with the liqueur is I would put it in at this stage. Okay, I think I'm really happy with my chocolate. It's just about melted. So I'm actually going to turn mine off, and I am going to remove it. Even though it's not 100% melted, I know that it's gonna melt. So when you take it off, be very, very careful, because you don't want I'm just gonna put it aside here. When you take it off, you don't want the steam to hit you in the face. So did you see how when I took it off, I pulled it away from me? Now I'm gonna take this water, I'm gonna dump it in the sink because I don't need it anymore. And I'm just gonna put it to cool down, and I'm gonna unplug my element. Any questions? So I missed proportion of liqueur. So we were saying that if you're using a teaspoon of vanilla, Don't use the vanilla, and you could put anywhere from a teaspoon to a tablespoon of the liqueur. If you really want to get drunk, you're not going to get drunk off this, but you could put 2 tablespoons if you really like the strength of liqueur. But a tablespoon will make it pretty strong, I think. I haven't tried it, so I can't say for sure, but I would do a tablespoon if I was going to do it. Okay, fairly loose, not thick. Yes, it should be quite loose. I'm going to show you what mine looks like. It's really loose, actually. And even in that small period of time, it's like, it's literally like chocolate syrup. Most of it has melted. So it's going to look really loose. Don't forget, we've added nothing to it. Okay, if yours is super duper duper hot, you put it on a trivet and that will cool it down. As I said, I really like to do this step in advance and let it fully cool, because what happens is it, what you could even do if you're making these for New Year's Eve is you can do this step, watch me do everything else, and then make them later. And that actually is something I want to talk about. So everyone's wondering, if I don't bake them now, how can I make them for tonight? Because it is New Year's Eve. So my answer to that is as follows. You've got 2 options. You can either, you scoop them into the ramekin, then you put saran wrap on them, you put them into the fridge, and they will stay for 24 hours before you bake them. If you're not going to bake them within 24 hours, you want to put them in the freezer. If you decide to put them in the freezer, what you want to do is you want to make sure they cool down completely. So you could even put them into the freezer on a baking sheet, let them cool in the freezer, and then once they're totally cool, you put the saran wrap on, because you don't want them to steam with the saran wrap. Then when you bake them, you either take them out of the fridge or you take them out of the freezer, you let them sit for about 20, 30 minutes, get them kind of back into room temperature, preheat the oven and put them on and start looking at 16 minutes to see if they've puffed up. So yes, this is a very forgiving recipe. And I do find if I use a stand-up mixture, I aerate the eggs a little better than if you use a hand beater. So if you use a hand beater, which we're about to do that step now, what's going to happen is with the hand beater, you have to move it around and make sure you really get it going. Okay, so any more questions before we start the next step? Everyone give me a thumbs up. I see lots of people if you've already melted your chocolate. Okay, thumbs up, lots of thumbs up. Okay, you guys are quick, woohoo. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna move away my element and I'm gonna bring my mixer and I'm gonna show you exactly what to do. So I have one of these stand-up mixers. If you don't have a stand-up mixer, you are going to use hand beaters. This is the attachment that you want. Wait, Erin has her thumbs up, yay. This is the attachment that you want because this is the whipping attachment. So whenever you use eggs and you want to get them aerated, this is the attachment to use. This is what you use for meringues as well. And one thing I actually want to explain is we're using 3 full eggs and 3 egg yolks. And everyone, remember that I said that we're not putting the whites in here. We're putting 3 full eggs, but then we're adding 3 egg yolks, not 3 egg whites, because I did this same demo on Tuesday and someone added the egg whites. Should we use the whisk attachment? Yes, use the whisk attachment. So the one that has all the wires for the hand mixer. Anything that looks like this with the wires that is going to whisk the air into it. So, so we are using 3 full eggs and 3 yolks. With the egg whites, what I want you to do is I want you to save them and you can make meringues. And I can send you my meringue recipe, just send me an email. Or you can throw them into a mix of eggs and you can make like a French toast strata. You can make an omelet. I don't like an egg white omelet because I think it's all about the yolks for flavor. So just don't throw at the eggs. Okay, the whites, I mean. Any more questions? So everyone get your whisk attachment ready. Can we use the standard beater if we don't have that? If you don't have it, yes, use the standard beater. I will be beating this for 5 minutes, but I think it's going to take more like 7 or 8 minutes if you have the hand beaters. And that's mostly for the eggs. The second step, You don't have to whip. We're doing 5 minutes, 5 minutes, but you'll see. Anyone that wants, once we start to whip this, when you want to show, if you want to show me it, just unmute yourself and say, Shauna, will you look? And I will hear, once you talk, I will hear it go. Okay. Hi, Lauren, I see you. Okay, so I'm not seeing everyone, but I see Lauren. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to do the next step. If you read step 4, I want you to get your eggs, okay? So with your eggs, I use an egg with a really dark yolk. So mine's going to look really yellow. This is my favorite egg make. I don't know if I get these in Toronto. They have them at Ambrosia, Lady York, sometimes Pusatiri's has this make. They're my favorite ones. Okay, so Alicia, do you want to come over and show like the Price is Right? I started going like this. She can come show the eggs. Okay, so what you're going to do first is you're going to take 3 whole large eggs and you are going to put them in the mixture. A big tip is to take a glass bowl and crack the egg before you put it into the mixer or the bowl, just to make sure you don't get any shell in there. So that, because you can't really see if you get a shell in there. So I like to bang it on a bowl first. So there we go. I don't have any shell. If you do get a shell, the best way to pick up an eggshell once the egg's in there is by taking half a shell and you just scoop up the eggshell with the half a broken shell. That works wonders. Okay, so I've got 1 whole egg in there. Now I'm gonna crack my next one. Now I've got 2 eggs in. And as I said, I'm doing 3 full eggs in. So here's my 3rd egg in. All right, is everyone good? So I don't have any questions, which means we're all doing a good job. Okay, so we've got the 3 full eggs in here. The next thing we're gonna do is we're going to make 3 egg yolks. So how do we do that? I'm gonna show you how to do that. So there's a few different ways to do it. This is my favorite way. You make sure your hands are very clean. I'm gonna wash them even again. And I'm gonna use my hands. So watch this. I'm gonna take the egg, I'm gonna crack it against the side, and then I am going to take each half of the egg. This is my second favorite, actually. I'm gonna show you my favorite in a minute. I'm gonna just take the yolk and alternate it between these shells. And then at that point, all of the whites come down. And Jordan, are you watching this? Because if you ever, he's really into this. Oh,
Henry showed me.
Oh, his friend showed him this at school. Okay, my son is now in university and lives with 2 foodies, and hooray, hooray, he's the luckiest boy on the earth. They cook for him because he sure cannot cook. Okay, he tries. We did a university cooking course and he learned a lot. Okay, so watch this. Now my yolk is separated from the eggs, so you just alternate back and forth, back and forth. So I'm gonna put my yolk in here, not my egg white, my yolk. So now I've got the egg white here. My daughter will for sure make meringues. So since she's gonna make meringues, I'm gonna make sure I don't get any yolk in here, because with meringues, if you get a yolk in there, it's bye-bye. So I'm gonna do the next one. I'm gonna show you my next trick to get the egg yolk out. So what I do is I take the yolk and I get rid of the white and I put it in between my fingers and I let the white just fall. So it takes a little while until you get all that white to fall, and then you've got your yolk here. If you have this little white membrane, you could just pull it off. Done, plop. The last one, I'm gonna do that method because, and I'm gonna pray I don't get any yolk in there. I find that I usually get more yolk in if I do the method with the shells compared to the method with the hands. I like the hand method the best. See how perfect that is? So that's the way you separate eggs. Any questions? Okay, whoa, here we go. So the yolk just went in there. I am saving these whites and I'm gonna wash my hands. Okay, is everyone caught up? Does this need to be served immediately? Oh, someone came on late because we've already hit this question. Does this need to be served on immediately after baking, or could I reheat it to have for dessert? Sorry, I think you explained this, but I didn't catch on. Okay, So I'm going to repeat now and everyone will get their eggs done. You can put these in the fridge unbaked with saran wrap over them. And then when you're ready to bake them, bring the ramekin to room temperature. So for about 20, 30 minutes, and then preheat your oven and bake them like you would have. That you can keep them in your fridge for about 24 hours. And because you have aerated eggs, right? So after 24 hours, it's going to deflate. Or alternatively, you can shove them in the freezer. So unbaked as well and bring them to room temperature. If you decide to bake them now, my kids love just throwing them back in the microwave and they actually work out really, really well. At about, my husband said he does about 15 seconds. I do 20. I like them really hot. He likes them warm. Jordan, do you do 15 or 20 seconds?
17 and a half.
He does 17 and a half. He always has to be in the middle. Woohoo. Okay. So what if you're using a muffin? Okay, now we're going to talk about that. So let's actually talk about, I'm going to make some noise here. You guys all stay on mute because you're going to make some noise too. So when this is whipping, I'm going to talk about buttering the ramekins in the muffin tin. We're almost there. Okay, so if you read your recipe, we've added the eggs, the 3 egg yolks, and now we're going to be adding half a cup of sugar. I use the unbleached sugar cane from Costco, the organic sugar. That's my sugar of choice. But if you use the Red Path, whatever, you still want half a cup. So I'm going to put the half a cup of sugar in with the 3 eggs and the 3 yolks. Now I'm going to make the noise, and then we're going to talk about muffin tins. And Alicia, if you can pass me those 3 muffin tins, that would be great. And we're also going to talk about how to butter the ramekins. Here's Vanna White. She's not getting in the picture. She's too nervous. Okay, thank you. So I'm lifting up I'm getting this ready and I'm going to do it. I like white sugar in these, not brown sugar, because it's a bit different. Talia, if you don't have white sugar, brown sugar, most certainly you can use, but I'd rather you use white sugar for this. It bakes a bit differently in terms of the brown sugar has a bit more moisture in it. Okay, so Michelle, the mixer is going to be on 6 to 8. You want it on 6 to 8. So someone else asked yeah, it's the same person. Oh no, it's 2 Michelles. What setting do you use, 2, 4, 6, or 8? So in between 6 and 8. Okay, so I'm gonna start and then I'm still gonna talk. I'm just gonna move out of the way. Does that work? Yeah. Okay, so let's go over here. Jordan's gonna move it over here. Yeah. Or do you know what? No, they can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me with the mixer going. Yeah, everyone can still hear. Let's stay here. All right. So with the ramekins, you want a 3-inch ramekin. So you just want to measure it across, or 100 mils of water should fit into the ramekin going up 3/4. That's a 3-inch ramekin. If you use a muffin tin, I don't want you using the silicone ones. It doesn't work as well. But if you only have a silicone one, butter it well. Okay, so it will plop out. This muffin tin has really big cuts. This muffin tin has really little cuts. So if you have a muffin tin with big cuts, you're only gonna get about 10 molten lavas. If you have a ramekin, can you time 4 minutes? Oh, can everyone hear me? Thumbs up if you can. Yeah, they can hear. Okay, if you're using a smaller muffin tin, you're only gonna get you're gonna get 12. If you're using a bigger muffin tin, you're gonna get 10. Now, the other thing is, if you have big ramekins that are like 6 inches, you're only gonna get 4 and you're gonna have to bake them longer. Okay, what do we use if our ramekins are smaller? Are they smaller than 3-inch? Karen and Jalen, are they smaller than 3-inch? If they're smaller than 3-inch, you can use those, but you're gonna put half of the chocolate in and you're gonna bake them for only 9 minutes or 8 minutes. So I want you, Karen and
yeah, I'm going to show you them.
Yeah, show me them. And when you show me them, put them beside your head. Put them beside your head. Are they real? Are they like half the size of this one?
No, they've actually, the top just looks a little bit less.
I think that yours are 3 inches. I want you to take a ruler to them. Can you get a ruler out?
Yeah.
Or put 100 mils of water. How many minutes has that been? I wanted 5. So I think it's really foamy. I think we hit 3 minutes. Okay, get a ruler to them. Okay, now what we're gonna do, 3 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna stop this for a second and I'm gonna let you keep going. If using muffin tin, how do you serve them? So I'm gonna show you that at the end. So you've gotta stay on because we're gonna plop them out, and with the muffin tin, they fall right out if you butter them well. So what I actually want you to do now is I want you, as that's going, to start to butter your ramekin. So this is the way to do it. If you're using a muffin tin, start by buttering 10. And see if you have too much mixture, you will go to 12, but start by buttering 10. If you have ramekins, I want you to take the lining from your butter, and I want you just to take the lining and butter them really well. If your lining doesn't have any butter left, the other thing you're gonna do is you're gonna get more butter, and you're gonna take a paper towel. Jordan, do you mind getting the open butter in the fridge? We're gonna take the butter and we're gonna scoop some of the butter off the other fridge, honey, the unsalted. We're gonna take the butter and we're gonna scoop some butter off, and we're gonna take a paper towel. This is the baking trick. So to butter without this, you use a paper towel. Yeah, the baby one. Don't throw it, use it to throw it, thanks. So you just take the butter and you take some off, and with your paper towel, you just butter up the ramekins. Okay.
Sorry, it's Karen. I have a question. We put 100, what are they called? Milliliters in it. It filled up like a little more than half. So is that?
Your 3 ounces. Those are 3 ounce ramekins.
So those are good.
Yeah, they're perfect.
Okay. Perfect.
Woohoo. Do you have 8 of them, Karen?
Yes.
Yay, Karen and Jalen. Okay. Yours are going to be perfect with a capital P. Okay, so you guys, I want you, so you should be 5 minutes. If you've timed it, you're 5 minutes. And Alicia, the next one, I want you to time for 5 minutes again. So mine's been at about 3 minutes, and I'm just gonna do 2 more minutes, and then I'm gonna show you what it should look like. But I'm making sure I butter them really, really, really well. Okay, done, done, done. So that's great. So since I stopped it, I'm gonna go a little higher at the 10 speed, just to really whip it up. The more you whip it, the more it's going to rise and get really fluffy. So you want to whip it really well. So now I'm going to show you what mine looks like. Yeah, so I hit about 4 minutes. That is still a little loose. I want it a little thicker than that. So you literally want it to look like lemon mousse. That's what you want it to look like. So you want to, it literally looks, because you've got those egg yolks in there, very lemony. So this stage should only take 5 minutes in a stand-up mixer. If you're using hand beaters, it should take more like 5 to 7 minutes. Just because with the beaters, you're going to be moving it around a little more. So I'm now putting it on 10, just as I started and stopped. Does anyone want to show me their mixture? You know what? I'm just about ready. So since I stopped, I put it on high, and it's whipping up really well. So I'm going to go 30 more seconds. Does anyone want to show me their mixture if they're not sure? Lisa?
Hi, Shauna.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you the bowl.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, I'm going to
show me the bowl. Yeah.
Oops.
Okay, lift it up. I want to see it. Like, put it down and lift it up so I can see how loose it is. Wait, your phone's too high. Yeah, that's perfect. Yours is perfect. It's ready. That was 5 minutes, right?
Hi, Shauna.
Yeah.
Shauna.
Hi, show me. Yeah. Oh, Lauren, show me. Yeah, Lauren, yours is great too. It's puffy enough. Laura Wolf, I would do it a bit more. You
Okay.
need to do it more. Yeah.
Hi, Shauna. Can I show you mine?
Yeah. Show me yours. Oh, is that Melissa? Hi, Melissa. Yay. Show me yours. Beautiful. Okay. Now go in and lift it up and show me it come off.
Here I am.
Yeah. I think you need 1 more minute. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
1 more minute. So mine now, if you can see, is quite thick. So you want to make sure it looks like lemon pudding, like a little thicker. And that means that you've aerated it. And that's why if you don't bake them right away, you want to make sure that this step, you aerate them really well. Okay, so is everyone done? I see everyone, I see Susie getting her muffin thing, yay, all buttered up. Is there any way that you can overbeat in this recipe? Not really. Like if you go past like the 6 or 7 minutes, it might start to deflate, but usually at the 5 minutes, it doesn't deflate. Like it gets pretty thick. Oh, I just noticed Miriam's sister there, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Okay. So no, so you can't really overbeat it. 5 to 6 minutes should be it. If you're using the hand beaters, just make sure it looks like lemon pudding when you're finished. Any more questions? Is everyone up to speed? Mine is more white than yellow, but I definitely only use 3 full eggs. But you did, Lisa, you did put in the 3 yolks, right? Yeah, so you're fine. That means your egg yolks are just a little bit lighter than mine. I buy dark yolks.
Shauna,
Okay.
is this okay?
Let's see. Carolyn, let's see. Put it a little.
How can I show it?
I can see. Yeah, lift it up again. I think you need another minute. You need another minute.
And then
Yeah, does it look like lemon pudding?
Well, it was, and then it got a little.
Okay, do it a little more now, and let's quickly go into the next stage. Okay, so the next step is, if you read, we are going to now add the cool chocolate butter mixture. So mine's pretty cool. Like it's not hot anymore. So we're gonna add that into the mixture. So right now we are on step 5. So I'm adding in the cooled mixture, and you want to do this quickly because we're going to end up putting it into the cold mixture so the eggs aren't going to cook. Yes, my dear.
It's Lauren. If the chocolate's still hot, should we put it in the fridge?
Yes, if your chocolate's still hot, but only put it in the fridge for 1 or 2 minutes or else it's going to solidify while you're putting everything else. So mine cooled down, and that's why I wanted your eggs cold. That's why, because I didn't want them to cook. Okay, quickly. Now you're going to put in 1/3 of a cup of flour. When you measure your flour, you take, this is a dry measurer, this is a wet measurer. You never ever measure wet. You don't measure flour in a wet measure, you measure flour in a dry measure. So this is the dry measure, this is the wet measure. Since flour's dry, what you want to do is you want to kind of aerate it. So you put it in and you want to move it around like this. You don't want to pack it down. Then once you've got your 1/3 of a cup, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take one of these things and you're going to just sift it in using one of these wire things. I'm going to sift it in, and what that's going to do is it's going to take away any lumps. See, it's going to take away any lumps. And it's going to incorporate really well. It's only 1/3 of a cup. If you have celiac disease or you're gluten-free, most certainly use a gluten-free flour blend, but you want to make sure it has like xanthan gum, like it's 1-to-1. Okay, so I've got the flour in here, and now I'm going to add just 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. Done. Okay, so if you read your instructions, to reiterate, now I've got my whipped eggs in here, my cool chocolate butter mixture, my flour, my salt, and last but not least, vanilla. So if you're doing the alcohol, don't do the vanilla because there's alcohol in here. Okay, I buy the Costco vanilla. It comes with a cap, and I just use the cap to measure a teaspoon. I never get my teaspoon measure out because that's about a teaspoon. And I just want to show you, Costco came out with a new Madagascar vanilla that's organic and gorgeous. So if you are running out of this one, if you're a Costco shopper, this one looks like a really high quality one. I'm super excited about that. We use half a cup of flour instead of a third. Is that okay? Yeah, they'll just be a bit more cupcakey. They'll just be a little like heavier. Okay, now what I want you to do is lift this up, and Alicia and Jordan, I want you to time 5 minutes, and I'm gonna put this on 6. And then what this is gonna do is it's going to take the chocolate and the butter and it's gonna incorporate it into the eggs. It's gonna deflate a little bit, but that's fine because we're moving the eggs around again. So yeah, so with a full mixer like this should probably only take about 4 minutes or 5 minutes. With the hand beater, it should take about 5 minutes or 6 minutes. Okay, I see everyone going, good. With speed. So right now I started at 6. You can go to 8, 6 or 8. You don't want 10 for this, and you don't want 4 for this. So 6 or 8. And if you're using the hand mixer, it has the same thing. Now the other thing is, if you see some butter mixture around the side, feel free to get a spatula and to feel free to stop it and just scrape the sides just with a spatula, just to make sure you incorporate everything. It's okay to stop it. So now I'm going to start it again, and I'm going to put it on 6 because on mine I did see just a little bit of yellow and white. If you don't, someone asked me, what happens if you don't, can't hear you when I have the blender on. Yeah, so they can't hear. That's okay, just put it on. What happens if you don't sieve the flour? It doesn't really matter, but I always sieve the flour because it aerates it and it lets it get in really well. Yeah, that's what happens in a cooking stove. Okay, so what am I at, 3 minutes? Yeah. So I'm at about 3 minutes and then we'll stop. Should we put the salt? The instructions say to put it in about 9. Yes, we did put the salt in. Allie, we put the salt in. Okay, one person said, I can't hear you when I have the blender on. Yeah, that's fine. It's a cooking show. I'm sending you guys this after so you can hear. I'm going to let it go for 30 more seconds. Then I'm going to wait for you guys. And 2.5 minutes left. Okay. So yeah, this, as I said, this step isn't as imperative as the other step because we're not whipping the eggs again. Okay. Yeah, just keep sending questions. Everyone's really busy, so we're gonna just wait a sec. What am I at now? 30 seconds? Woohoo! So you guys, if you can hear me, this stage, so what should the batter look like? Okay, I'm gonna show you. So what this stage is doing is it's incorporating everything, whipping a little bit more air. The batter now should look like a loose chocolate pudding. So not a mousse, a pudding. It should be liquidy like that. It's like a cake mix. Smells delicious. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna stop now. I'm just gonna whisk a bit more in. Mine's perfect. Look at that. It's just a cake batter now. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, I know some people have their blender on, which is fine. I'm gonna wait till everyone's finished. Don't worry if you're gonna end up finishing a minute after me. What do we do if ours is thicker?
Yeah,
if it's thicker, it's fine as well.
Mine looks like a chocolate mousse.
Okay, so yours is fine. Just that means you whipped your eggs really, really well. And Karen, if you're not doing yours until later, it's actually a good thing because it's aerated more. Okay? Because don't forget, I started and stopped mine a little. So it should be in the middle of a chocolate mousse and a chocolate pudding. Okay, any more questions about, yeah, if yours is thick, that's actually a good thing. That means that your chocolate cooled down well and you aerated the egg. Mine's sometimes a bit thicker than this. I cut corners a little because I stopped and started, but I jumped ahead. Mine made enough for 16 muffin tins. Whoa, Joanna. So I wonder why yours is so thick. Yeah. Oh, Nathan's looks great. Nathan's a good baker. Jordan's already getting pictures of his friends. Okay, and Susan, is that cooked already and you're eating it? No, it looks really thick. So if it's thick, it's okay. We'll see. I used a hand mixer and beat for 7 minutes. Yeah, maybe since you used the hand mixer, you aerated it more. You aerated it a lot. So don't worry, whatever you did, they're going to be gorgeous, whichever way it happens. So Joanna said that she used a hand mixer, so hers actually puffed up more, so she ended up getting 16. I, with this mixer, 5 minutes, I get 8. Okay, so now we're moving on to the next stage. We're going to end up filling them. I saw lots of people are ahead. So now what you want to do is you want to take your chocolate and you just want to break it into your squares. If you have the baker's chocolate, it says ½ an ounce. If you're using ramekins, we're going to be using 2 pieces of the chocolate, the Lindt chocolate. If you're using muffin tins, we're only going to be using 1 piece. So now I'm going to show you. Everyone ready? Everyone's ahead of me because I want to make sure everyone's on board. Here's my ramekin. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to carefully, and try not to make a mess, I'm going to take my ramekin, I'm going to take an ice cream scoop, and I'm going to just pour 1 ice cream scoop. It doesn't matter if you get it on the sides because they're going to puff up. You want to fill them about 3/4 of the way full. Okay. So as I said, this gets about, I'll clean it up a little. Yeah, I'll show it. This gets about 8 if I do it 3/4 of the way full. My mixture is quite thick. It's okay. I think mine's normally thicker than this. So if it's thick, you've done a great job. It's going to be fluffy. The cake's going to be fluffy. Okay, so keep going. And if you want to show me, that's fine too. But this is the first time you're making them. You just have to get used to the proportions and everything. So what I'm going to do now.
Question.
Yeah.
As I'm putting them in, because they're so thick, like it's not evenly filling the bottom. It's just kind of clumping around. Is it like?
Oh, it's that thick? Yeah, I wonder why it's so thick.
Like it's really like a mousse.
Yeah, I wonder why it's so moussey. Did you? So you did 3/4 of a cup of butter. You melted the chocolate. Maybe your chocolate wasn't cooled down or something. That could be it. But it should be runny.
Okay,
It should be runny, Karen. So you did all of the proportions right?
Yeah.
Shauna, can I show you mine when you're done with your instruction? Yes, Joanna, show me yours. And Joanna, you have to turn on and talk so I can see you. If you talk, you'll come up. You have to unmute.
Okay, here I am.
There's Joanna.
See how thick it is? I could literally hold this upside down and they wouldn't fall out.
I think you beat it. It's still gonna puff up and it's gonna be very like cakey and fluffy. You'll see. Next time, only do 5 minutes. Okay. The more people beat it, the more they aerate, but they're gonna be souffle-ish. It might make it even better. Like okay, you're just gonna check. You wanna see it souffle. Also. Okay, so most people are thicker than Shauna. So that's just going to souffle it. Yeah, Lauren's is runny like mine. Okay, so yeah, everyone's going to be a little different depending on which chocolate you used, right? And depending on how much you aerated it. Joanna, are you making them now or later?
I was going to make them now and then warm them up later.
Okay, so make them now because I want to see how they come out. Okay, so keep going, guys. Do you have... yeah, if yours is thicker, it just means they're going to be gorgeous. They're going to be all fluffy and beautiful. Okay, I've made these 1,000 times, and it just depends on how much you beat them and how much air you put in. Okay, so I've hit, I'm doing 3/4 full, and my chocolate's just about done. So just make sure that you get enough that you hit about 3/4 full. So I've got 8 ramekins here. And then what we're going to do, and I saw everyone kind of, lots of people went ahead. We're going to put the chocolate in the middle. So if you're using ramekins, you want to put 2 pieces. The baker's chocolate, so if you read your instructions, so Lily and Eden, if you're using baker's chocolate, if on the recipe, if you look at, so 1/2 ounce each. Yes, so if you're using a muffin tin, you want to put 1/2 ounce. If you're using a ramekin, you want to put 1 ounce. Okay, Lily and Eden? So if Lily and Eden, you have to tell me, I forget if you told me if you're using a muffin tin or if you're using a ramekin. So it's a little different.
We're using a ramekin, but I measured 1 block of the baker's chocolate and it's 2 ounces each. So I guess we'll cut them in half.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. Oh, you guys are the ones who showed me the ramekin, right?
Nope, new people.
No, you're not. Oh, you're new people. I have like so many like the mother and the daughter names, which I love that you guys put your names up. I'm gonna cry. I'm so happy. Oh, you guys, it's New Year's Eve and we're together. Okay, so Lily and Eden, measure it. And if you're using the ramekin, you want 1 ounce. So you can cut it in half and have, so with the Lindt chocolate, I'm going to take 2 pieces, which equals, so here, these, I think this is 15 grams. Where's my scale? So 2 pieces of this chocolate, doesn't really matter actually. You just, it's not gonna hurt. So 2 pieces equal about 15 grams. So it doesn't matter what chocolate you use, you wanna put 15 grams and you just wanna take a ramekin and put them vertically in the center. You'll see a little bit of chocolate showing. You don't wanna see tons of chocolate showing. If you're using a muffin tin, you just want to put 1 piece of chocolate because 2 pieces will give you too much chocolate in the middle because you're making 10 to 12. Got it? Does the chocolate piece go in before the mixture or after? So here I've got the chocolate in here. The chocolate pieces are going in to the ramekin or the muffin tin in the middle before we bake them into the liquid mixture.
How many ounces? Is it a 1/2 ounce for a muffin? Sorry.
Yes, so it's a 1/2 ounce for a muffin tin, which is, sorry, it's 1/4 ounce. It's 25.25. It's 1/4 ounce for the muffin tin, and it's 1/2 ounce for the ramekins. So this is 1/2 ounce, which is 2 pieces, and for the muffin, you just want to put 1 piece. Does that make sense? I know it's confusing because everyone doesn't have the same chocolate, but it will all work out. The other thing I was telling people is if you run out of chocolate or you only have chocolate chips, you can put a Lindt ball. So you could put an orange Lindt ball, a white chocolate Lindt ball, hello. So you could put any sort of Lindt ball in there, because at Christmas time, I don't know about you, but we get a lot of Lindt balls, right? It sounds like I'm saying I think like a Lindt ball, like on clothes when I say that. So it's like the kids don't even know that. They're like, yeah, a Lindt ball. So you just shove a circle into the center. Okay, how's it going? Does the piece of chocolate? Yeah, so we've already answered that.
What if you filled it up the whole way, what would happen?
So if you fill it up the whole way, it might kind of puff up. It just puffs up on the side. So we're going to see how everyone's work. So you guys type into the chat if you're baking now or you're baking later. Just type it into the chat because I want to know later, later, later. Yeah, it's New Year's Eve now, later, now. So we're doing 1/2 and 1/2, later, later, now. It's literally 50-50. Isn't that funny? It's literally 50-50. Okay, so I'm going to bake them off now so I can show you. Jordan, I'm going to ask you to put them in the oven. So what we're going to do is I'm going to instruct my son how to do it. So I want you to open the oven, the lower one's on, the lower one, open the oven, take them on a tray, and then put each and do it. No, take them off the tray. Alicia, can you take the camera? Yeah. She's going to take the camera. So what we're going to do is we're going to take them on the tray over to the oven. We're going to put the tray down on the oven door, and we're going to throw them into the oven, not on the baking tray, on just the oven rack. Don't burn yourself. Be very careful, because I always burn myself and everyone gets mad at me. And you literally want to do them separate off the tray. Then you're going to quickly close the oven, and I'm just going to check these. I'm going to start at 16 minutes. And we're going to see if at 16 minutes they're ready. So my point is, if you have the muffin tin, you open it up, you throw the muffin tin on the middle rack on 350. If you're using ramekins, you don't want them on the cookie sheet. You want them straight on the middle baking rack. For the muffin tins, how long should they bake? Okay, now here we go. So the muffin tins, Olivia, the muffin tin goes into the oven, just the muffin tin, not on a baking sheet. Okay, now, but believe it or not, is so thick that I can bake a few more ramekins later. Oh, good. Okay, so it's so funny how everyone's was thick today, which is fine. They're going to be very like cakey and fluffy. So what we're doing now is, someone asked the question, how long should we bake the muffin tin? The muffin tin, I wrote in the instructions that you want to check it a little earlier. So if you're using the muffin tin, just check them at about like 9, 10, 11, 12 minutes to see. Just keep checking them like at the 10-minute mark. For those of you who have really thick, do you think I'll need less than 14 minutes in the muffin tin? Probably, I would say 9 to 12 minutes in the muffin tin. I'm using regular. So I want you guys to put your oven on regular, not convection for this. Whenever you're making anything with whipped up eggs, you don't want convection, because it's going to get crusty on the top and it's going to stay raw in the middle. You want conventional. With conventional baking, with convection baking, the air circulates like this, like around. With conventional baking, the air comes straight from the back. So it's better to have the air coming from the back instead of the air revolving when you're doing something like a souffle that has eggs in it. Yeah, thanks. Okay, did I answer all the questions? Okay, so yeah, the muffin tin goes straight in. And then once we take them out, what we're going to do is, Alicia, can you pass me those oven mitts sitting right there? I like to use oven mitts that have fingers in them. I actually bought these specifically for molten lavas because I make them so much. And I literally go in. So these are from Canadian Tire, and they're actually really heat proof. So what you do is you go in and you just pull out. What I do is if you're not staying to the end, I open the door. Then I put the baking sheet out. I take the molten lava, I put it straight onto the baking sheet, and I just kind of put them all together, and I take them all out at once. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. How long do we bake it for? With the muffin tins, I want you to check to see if they're melted in the middle. You're going to see once we get to that step that with the muffin tins, you're going to see that it puffs up, and you can no longer see that piece of chocolate in the middle, and it doesn't jiggle anymore. That means it's ready. So that should be it. You should start checking it around 10 minutes. The longest any of these are gonna go is 19 minutes. So since everyone has a different size muffin tin, a different size ramekin, a different oven, it's all gonna be different, right? So it's gonna be literally from 10 minutes to 19 minutes. So I didn't hear what you said. Oh, how long for the ramekins? So yeah, the ramekins, I wrote on the recipe 16 to 19. I put it at 16 because I know at about the 16-minute mark, it's almost going to be ready. My ramekins are never ready at the 14-minute mark. Since most of you seem to have a thicker batter, yours might bake a little quicker than mine. Sorry to ask again, but to bake later, do we just cover with saran wrap and keep in the fridge? Yes. No, that's okay. So And it's funny because I didn't want to answer that question until we got on live, because everyone's going to be doing something differently. So if you're not going to bake these now and you're going to bake them later, you still section them out into the ramekins or the muffin tin. You put saran wrap either on each ramekin or on the whole muffin tin, put it into the fridge. When you're ready to bake them, take them out about half an hour before baking them to bring them to room temperature. And you can do that while the oven's preheating. And then you put them in at the same time. So the muffin tin, check it around 9 or 10 minutes or 11 minutes. And the ramekins, you should be checking around 15, 16 minutes. Do you serve in the ramekins or do you, ooh, that is the next thing I want to talk about. Okay, so when I was recipe testing these, I first put on my Instagram account, and you guys make sure you're following me on Instagram. It's Shauna Lynn on Instagram, and it's Shauna Linson, registered dietitian on Facebook. And most of you are following me, but if you're watching this after the fact and you're not, please follow Shauna Lynn on Instagram or Shauna Linson, registered dietitian on Facebook. So I first asked, when I started to develop this recipe and switch it around a little, I asked people, would you rather eat a chocolate molten lava cake straight out of the ramekin, or would you rather plop it on a plate and have it kind of the middle ooze out when you cut it? 50-50. So I now only eat it out of the ramekin because I find it a lot cleaner, like to eat it out of the ramekin. Alicia was saying she likes it plopped out. Jordan was saying he likes it straight out of the ramekin. So if I ask you guys, are you going to eat it out of the ramekin or in the ramekin? Let me know. But obviously, if you're using the muffin tin, you're going to end up taking the baking sheet. So Joanna, you're using a muffin tin, I saw, right? So you're going to take a baking sheet. You're going to take the muffin tin. You're going to put the baking sheet over the muffin tin. You're going to go like this, and you're going to, and they're all going to plop out. And then you're going to see the chocolate melted in the middle. Then you're going to just plop it on a plate and serve it with some vanilla ice cream and some raspberries. I like to serve it with raspberries, vanilla ice cream, strawberries, but I think raspberries and chocolate are fantastic. It's kind of the quintessential pairing. So I personally like to eat it inside. And if you are eating it inside the ramekin, be very careful to take a plate. I've got a pretty plate here, and take the ramekin and put it on the plate because it's really hot. So you want to serve it on a plate, because if you take it out of the oven, it's still really hot. Got my raspberries on hand, so we're good to go. Yay. So everyone, I want you to type into the chat, are you going to eat them out of the ramekin or in the ramekin? As I said, it's usually 50-50. Let's see what people say. I should have a poll. You could do a poll on this. Out, 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 in, out, in. See, 50-50. Isn't that funny? Out, one of each. in, 4 of us in, 1 out. Yeah. So I see in my daughter said, it's always 50-50. So with the muffin tin, what you want to do is you just want to take like a knife. If you are going to eat it out of the ramekin, it's best to do it when it's hot. You can't pull it out of the ramekin once it goes into the fridge. It congeals too much. So once it's hot, you just take it, and usually it really quickly will plop out. The other thing that I like to do, and this is really important, and I want to talk about this, is if you're for sure going to eat it out of the ramekin and you don't know that for next time, what you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of parchment paper. You're going to take the ramekin. You are going to draw a circle around on the parchment paper. And then you're going to take a scissor. And if you have 4 or 8 ramekins, what you're going to do is you're going to fold the piece of paper, and you're going to keep folding until you get, sorry, did I do it properly here? Until you get 8 pieces. You could even do it this way. And with the circle, I'm doing this really quick, but if you see the replay, you'll see. So I've got a dark circle that I've colored in pencil, and I'm going to cut out circles, and I'm going to put them on the bottom of the ramekin. So if you like to eat them out of the ramekin, next time you are going to put a circle of parchment. How many did I get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to put them in the ramekin. And if you have six people who want out, do this. And when you plop it onto the paper, you're going to see the chocolate pops off, and you're going to pull off the piece, and it's going to be like gorgeous. So if you didn't do that today and you buttered it really well, it should come out. It smells amazing. Can you make mine look like, can I show you what mine look like? Yes. Whoever said that, unmute. Oh, I think it's Joanna, unmute. What an amazing class. We had so much fun. May 12, Happy New Year's and thanks. Mwah. Great idea. How do I know when they're done? Okay, Joanna, show me yours. So Joanna's taking them out. Okay, so your chocolate is covered, right? The middle chocolate's covered. Now take your finger, put it down on your counter, and jiggle it a little and see if it's fully cooked, or like, is it firm?
I think so.
Okay, so if it's firm, it means it's ready. And Joanna, you had very thick batter, right?
Yeah.
So did they puff up quite well?
They did. They're kind of deflating now, but
yes, they're like a souffle. They deflate. Yeah. So what you're gonna, if I'm baking now but reheating later, should I store it in the meantime? I'll tell you in a sec. So Joanna, I think yours are ready. If they're deflating too much, you might want to put them in for 1 or 2 minutes, which means maybe they're not cooked through.
okay.
So just jiggle them and see. Okay, if I'm baking now but reheating later, how should I store in the meantime? So Tally, you're using a muffin tray. So what I want you to do is take the muffin tray, let it sit, and then there's a few things you can do. I wouldn't keep them in the muffin tray because they're going to steam. So I would take them out of the muffin tray, put them on like on a platter and put saran wrap, or you can put it in like a glass container and put a lid on it. And then when you're ready to eat them, just throw each one in the microwave for 15, 20 seconds. That's the way to reheat them. The microwave works perfectly. If I'm eating them later tonight, should I keep them in the fridge and then warm them up in the muffin tray? No, take them out of the muffin tray because the muffin tray is metal and it's going to steam too much. So I'd rather you take it out of the muffin tray now. The ramekin's okay. Great class, Shauna. Thank you. Happy New Year. To you too, Emma. Nice to see you. Do you have to wait for them to cool before taking them out of the muffin? Yes. So on the instructions, I put 5 minutes. So let it sit for 5 minutes and then plop them out. You have to let them sit for 5 minutes like you would a piece of meat because they're cooling down. Can I show you my muffin tin? Thanks so much, Shauna. Happy New Year. Yes, Susie, show me. Susie, unmute and show me your muffin tray. Oh, I see it. So Susie.
Yeah, are those done?
Yeah, I think they need more time.
Okay.
Yeah, are they still a little jiggly?
Just in the center. The edge is firm, but the center is still.
Yeah, do you know what? Yours, I think they might be done then. Yeah, if you want them to be pretty firm.
Around the edge, just where just close to the chocolate piece. They're
yes, I think if they look firm, they're looking gorgeous. I would take them out now and let them sit for 5 minutes. Okay. My friend Lisa from yay, thumbs up, Susie. My friend Lisa from Winnipeg is saying, should I cover the ramekins if eating later? Yes. So let them sit for 5 minutes, then put saran wrap once they're cool. After about 5 minutes, they should cool down. Put them in the fridge. And then when you're eating them later, take them out and microwave each one separately for 15 to 20 seconds in the microwave. This is the best cooking class ever. And thanks for your nutrition advice. I'm feeling great. You're the best, really. Aw, they're starting to crack on the top. Yes, if they're starting to crack on the top, it means they've risen enough. It's not like a cheesecake. It's okay if they crack on the top. Okay, thanks, Shauna. What are you doing later? Can I FaceTime you? And who said that it's going to fast? FaceTime us if they already left out. Sure, love your classes. Thank you. Happy New Year, moi. Thank you so much, Shauna. Happy New Year. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming. I love you guys. And thank you. I had, as I said, 20, if we count the people who are watching this later, people register for this. And I was just so excited. In a muffin tin. Happy 2021, Sean. I can't wait to enjoy later. Thank you so much. Should I wait until it cracks on top? Yeah, check it and see. Mine are almost coming out if you want to stay a few minutes longer. How much time is left? Like 3 minutes? 1 minute. So mine are almost ready. Do they cool before tipping over? Yeah, let them cool 5 minutes in the ramekin or muffin tin. Thank you so much. They look amazing. Yay, you guys, you did such a good job. My superheroes. Woohoo.
Anna, what about
Thank you.
meringues?
Yes, so meringues, if you guys want to make meringues, the egg whites should be at room temperature. You can even make them now after you wash up and clean up. So the meringues, just email me, I'll send you my recipe. If we bake the ramekins now, but want to eat them later in the ramekins, where should we? So you want to cool them down, put some saran wrap over and put them in the fridge. If you do the muffin tin, you can plop them out after 5 minutes. Smells so good. Thank you so much, Shauna. This was perfect New Year's Eve activity. Mwah. If we bake the, yes?
Sorry,
Oh, who's
so you
talking?
for a sec, it's Jen Walsh.
Oh, where are you, Jen?
I don't know
I
if
have to find you.
Hold on.
I'm looking for you. Now I see you. Yeah, you're on. Okay, Jen, let's see. Wait, lift it up higher, higher, higher. Now touch the middle. Are they jiggly or are they firm?
No, pretty firm.
Yours are done. They look gorgeous, actually.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
That was 10 minutes. But I
Gorgeous. Yeah. So muffin tins are going to take around 10 to 15, depending on how big your muffin tin is and depending on how hot your oven is.
And
Mine ready will garnish and eat later. Hugs. Rose, show me them on Instagram. You've got the best Instagram. Thanks, Shauna. Happy New Year. This was a great class and you always have such great energy. Thanks, Lily and Eden. Woohoo. So is it ready?
Shauna?
Okay. I'm going to show you mine now. Yes, my love of my life.
Shauna, does that look right?
So that's Carolyn.
Yeah.
Yes. Are the sides jiggly or firm?
They look firm.
You're done. Those are gorgeous. So let them deflate a little, like let them sit and deflate for about 5 minutes, and then you can plop them out. Thank you. Happy
Shauna.
New Year. Okay, so you guys, I'm going to get one and see where mine are at. Woo, they're perfect. Okay, so I'm going to show you mine. So mine have puffed up really high. See how puffy those are? They've cracked a little and they're firm. So actually this one's a perfect one. Woohoo! So I can let this sit for a minute. We still have lots of people on. Can I show you mine? Yeah. Okay, Jordan, please push off. And Alicia, take them out. So you're gonna put your gloves on, not burn yourself, and you're gonna take them out and bring them to me. So my beautiful family is going to do them. So Jordan, pull the thing down, pull the thing down. Yeah. So what you want to do is pull the oven down and Alicia's going to pull them on. Shelly Schwartz, you got an A+. A+. So look at Shelly's. Everyone who can look, Shelly's are in a ramekin. So they puffed up. They puffed up more than a muffin tin. Okay. So who else wanted to show me? Thanks, Shauna. Great class. Happy New Year. Oh, that's Eva. To you too, Eva. Nice to see you. Do you need to put a knife around the edge? Usually no, Joanna. In the muffin tin, you might have to, Joanna. Try one and see. But usually in the muffin tin, if you take it and do what I said, they fall out, usually. Happy New Year. You're wonderful. Oh, thank you. Thanks, great class. Oh, everyone had so much fun. Mwah, 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 mwah. Okay.